Dating in South Africa is literally a gamble between life and death at this point. The Olorato case made me remember a lot of the stories before, the other recent stories of women who have passed on at the hands of men. And this video is not to denigrate men, the good men. This video is about talking about this actual issue that we are dealing with, that is consistently a repetitive pattern. It's gotten to a point where it seems like it's expected to see another headline, another woman becoming just a headline. These were people's daughters, these were people's sisters and mothers who will become another headline, another number in the statistics. And if you know you are a good man, you wouldn't be offended by some of the things I will say in this video. But reality is, there exist men in South Africa who are empty, mentally broken to a point that they are not human anymore. You are an empty shell walking, masquerading, cosplaying as a human being. You are not a human being because the qualities of a human being is not that. Ubuntu is not there. The ability to kill another human being. Do you think you are a god? Do you think you are entitled? Your ego is that big that you feel nobody has to have access to this woman, so you should end her life because you feel so entitled to her or her life. These situations make me feel numb. Numb because I'm overwhelmed by the lack of solution. I'm overwhelmed by the fact that it's going to be another woman in a few months. We know that it's going to be another post about a woman in a few months who has been killed by their boyfriend, by their date, by a man. It's going to be another woman in a few months. The numbness comes from the fact that I feel helpless to the fact that there's no solution, there's no preventative measure, because you can all say, I read some of the comments that I'm just like, you operate at such a low level to say certain things. Why are you guys meeting strangers? There's someone who literally said that. Why are you ladies meeting strangers? Are you mentally that dwarfed that you cannot understand everyone is a stranger? Your friends were strangers before you were friends. Your husband, your wife is a stranger. And I hear people say, no, she should have done this, she should have done that. No, we have to stop deflecting on the actual problem. And the problem is that there exist men in South Africa, all over the world, who are evil. Men who are hell on earth. I don't care who finds this offensive. There are people. Hell is the people on earth. Hell is the negative people. Hell is the evil people. Hell is the people who feel entitled to murder someone else. The empathy, the lack of empathy, because I'm always imagining, have you ever heard someone scream, asking you to stop something? I've heard screams, even on a video, hearing screams of someone, stop doing this. Like, I'm imagining how animalistic, how morally depraved, how mentally broken you must be to be able to kill another human being, hear their cries, hear their pleas for mercy, hear them cry and be able to commit that. That awakened me to realize that we exist on earth. Yes, life has beautiful moments, but the awareness that evil people live amongst us and they walk amongst us. They exist. It's a very heartbreaking reality when I see things online. I see these stories all the time. Even stories of murder, stories of children being assaulted. I'm realizing we exist with human beings who function as animals, who are empty vessels, just a human body walking, but internally they are dead. Because I cannot conceptualize and put myself in the position of a serial killer. I don't understand what has been fragmented in your brain for you to get to that level of darkness that you're able to commit such a thing. If you are sensitive to details of death, details of a graphic nature and violence, femicide, I would recommend you skip the 16-minute clips that I will attach for your own mental health.
A 30-year-old Wits student was killed and then dumped on the street in Lombardy East on Monday. Olorato Mongale was reported missing by her friends on Sunday afternoon after she went on a date. According to reports, her date picked her up in a white VW Polo at a place in Gouging, Johannesburg. She told her friends that she was going on a first date with someone. She told them that if she doesn't send them location in an hour, they should be worried. After 2 hours of her not sending anything, the friends located her phone through a Find Me app. It was at a house in Bramley. They went to the house and found her bag and cell phone outside. On Monday, community members in Lombardy East saw a white VW Polo drop off something suspicious. They alerted each other in a WhatsApp group, and upon inspection, they found Olorato, already deceased. Her body was bruised and she had sustained injuries. A case of murder is currently being investigated.
Well, please note that the following report contains descriptions of gender-based violence that may be disturbing to some viewers. Zenzele Xaba has been denied bail by the Richmond Magistrates Court. He stands accused of a brutal attack on his ex-girlfriend, Bongeka Ngcele, during which both her eyes were gouged out with a screwdriver. The 36-year-old is also accused of assaulting Bongeka's mother and faces charges of attempted murder and assault with intent to cause grievous bodily harm. Nobuhle Modise has that report.
The small community of eMaswazini in Richmond gathered in solidarity, rallying behind 26-year-old Bongeka Ngcele, who was left blind in a violent attack allegedly carried out by her former partner. Her mother, who was also assaulted during the incident, says this was not the first time Zenzele Xaba had shown signs of violence.
Mengifike eThekwini umfana ufike wangihlaba ngobhongwane nakhona wabuye ngeke ngena phone uthi embekela umqobo emkhombisa umbethe ngoFebruary uyakuyiba ngeke umfana usiyamala ngoba ebona into eyenzile kuyena eseThekwini naye efuna ukumbulala nakhona eThekwini mase emala kumfana Bongeka kusethi ndokukhipha amehlo lokho agcina ngakwenza ke kwenzele endlini yami engene enkwama ngihlasela kwami umfana uvele wamnyeka Bongeka umfana athi umfana kathi ungiyeke mina ngizokhipha amehlo wakwenza ke lokho umfana.
During his bail hearing, Xaba's lawyers argued that he has an alibi which they plan to present at trial.
The applicant has an alibi, Your Worship, and that is why the defense is trying to point out that there is no independent witness, Your Worship.
The court heard that he is an unemployed father of 5. He was reportedly apprehended by community members before police arrested him. The state opposed bail, citing the severity of the attack and concerns for Bongega's safety. Xaba appeared in court with a broken arm, raising questions about whether he was assaulted by residents before his arrest.
This court is not convinced by the applicants that the applicant has made out a case for his reason bail. As indicated, his reason to be admitted to bail is that he wants to look for permanent employment. And currently there is no actual prejudice that will visit the applicant if he were to be detained in custody until his matter is finalized. On the other hand, the safety of the complainant or witnesses is not guaranteed. Given the evidence before court, this court is convinced that there is a strong case against the complainant. Given the totality of evidence before court, this court is not convinced that the applicant is a suitable candidate to be admitted to bail, therefore bail is refused.
Police Minister Senzo Mchunu has since called for stronger action in cases involving gender-based violence.
Almost every member of the public is up in arms throughout the Republic of South Africa, GPV. Enough. On the 16th of this month, a young man went into Kwanele homestead where he had an altercation with someone who was his girlfriend. And in the process, when the mother intervened, he attacked the mother viciously. And when the ex-girlfriend went out from her bedroom to the lounge to assist her mother, she was brutally attacked, and on her he even used a screwdriver, attacking her on both eyes.
Bongega's family says doctors have confirmed one of her eyes is permanently damaged, but she may eventually be able to see with the other eye. Her mother says she was discharged from hospital during the court proceedings, and even with the suspect behind bars, they still live in fear. For Newsroom Africa on Channel 405, I'm Nobuhle Mudise in Richmond, KwaZulu-Natal.
The husband of celebrated scientist Dorcas Lechanyane is expected to appear in court tomorrow on charges relating to her murder. Dorcas, who is affectionately known as Didi, was allegedly stabbed to death by her husband Cecil Gegana at their home in Bramley on July last year. He allegedly stabbed her 6 times. Cecil then attempted to commit suicide. She was found with wounds on her breast, chin, face, and another wound was on her neck. She was found laying on the carpet in a pool of blood. Cecil was found unconscious in the same room after a medication overdose. The couple have a 4-year-old daughter who, according to reports, has been struggling to come to terms with her mother's passing. The family spokesperson told Daily Sun that the child is showing signs of trauma and she keeps asking them when is her mother coming back home. Didi was a renowned environmental scientist and traditional medicine specialist. She was recognized by the Mail and Guardian's 2024 Top 200 Young South Africans for her work. Cecil will appear at the Alexander Magistrate Court for bail application on Friday. An 18-year-old learner from Jabulile Secondary School in Sebokeng was murdered by her boyfriend. Nokuthula Ndlovu was allegedly killed on March 27, 2025. It is not yet clear what transpired on the day. However, after the incident, the boyfriend handed himself over to the police station. He was arrested and is due to appear at the Sebokeng Magistrate Court on Friday for a case of murder. His appearance will be a bail application. A 24-year-old woman was stabbed and killed by her ex-boyfriend at a Pick n Pay store in Protea Glen on Sunday. Snenhlanhla Matosi was knocking off with her colleagues when the ex-boyfriend allegedly walked towards her workstation and stabbed her multiple times. He reportedly used a knife which he had bought at another store just a few minutes earlier. Snenhlanhla passed away at the store. He was apprehended by security before he could flee. A case of murder was opened at Protea police station. He is expected to appear in court on charges of premeditated murder.
So this is probably the most hated guy in TUT right now. He goes by the name Ncebo Tusi, and let me tell you exactly what he did. He's also known as Pro. Let me tell you what he did. So it is alleged that he took a fellow TUT student's life on the 2nd of February, which was on Thursday. So this beautiful young lady was a third-year TUT student who was only 20, and she was found deceased in her room at one of the TUT races called Ekaya Junction. So her full name is Ntokozo Mayenzi Kaba, and it is believed that she was in a relationship with the accused, which ended a year ago. So their relationship ended last year, not a year ago, and it is speculated that during the course of the relationship, Ncebo was abusive towards Ntokozo. So it is believed that Ncebo went up to Ntokozo's room with some of his friends to just go have nice chats like normal varsity students normally do. And as everybody was leaving, Ncebo asked to have a minute with Ntokozo, and that was the last time everybody saw her alive until they found her in the morning. The following morning, friends were worried about her as she was not picking up her phone. They then went to her race, and then that's when they found her stabbed to death. So Ncebo has since been taken into custody, and there's still an ongoing investigation regarding the story. I will give you guys a full update when the story develops. So a hashtag justice for Ntokozo is ongoing, and there'll also be a candlelight service on the 6th of this month, February, and the theme is all black, and it'll be held at the TUT main campus's bus terminal, right, on Monday at exactly 7 o'clock.
A 26-year-old woman was stabbed and killed by her boyfriend just days after she graduated and secured her dream job as a maths and physics teacher. Lydia Mokobane from Modimolle in Limpopo was allegedly stabbed by her boyfriend in April after she ended things with him. Lydia had just graduated in April. In the same month, she secured a job as a physics and mathematics teacher at Parameng High School in Modimolle. She had only worked a few days at the school when she was killed. Lydia was laid to rest at her home last week.
17th tragedy would strike. Friday the 17th of January 2020 started as any other normal day for her. It is believed that she was on call on that particular day at the hospital, so she worked and thereafter she returned back to the doctor's quarters. So her boyfriend was visiting her as per usual. He would later state in court while he was doing his confession that Shongi got back from work, she took a bath, and thereafter the couple started talking about their relationship. He then said that the main point of contention was that he felt like Shongile's father was interfering deeply into their relationship. The couple argued about this, but this time around it was different. Shongile stood firm in her decision and kept reiterating that she wanted out. It is believed that it was during the course of this argument that Shongile decided to call her father. The father remembers this phone call, and he says that during this phone call, Shongile didn't really sound like herself. So he cut it off to like, maybe she's been working, okay, and it's her first time working really hard, so maybe it's just that. Maybe she's homesick. And so finally, when Shongile kept saying that please, he must come down to the doctor's quarters, he must drive down from Giyani all the way to Polokwane and bring the son on that specific day. He must come now. That's what Shongile kept saying. So he really, to himself, he cut it down to no, man, Shongile is probably just homesick. This is why she's sounding like this. So she kept on asking, please bring my son. I miss him so much. Please bring him today. And unfortunately, he couldn't bring the son on that day. So he kept reassuring that your son is fine. We're taking good care of your child, Shongile. I will bring him the next week. And Shongile kept begging that please try, bring him today. Please come now. Please come now. Towards the end of the phone call, they then had agreed that okay, it's fine. He would bring the son on the next week. And that would be the last time Shongile's father spoke to Shongile. At some point after this phone call, during the course of the arguments between Shongile and her boyfriend, the whole thing escalated. Later on in his confession in court, he claims that out of nowhere during their argument, Shongile bit his finger. Now, this is on the list of things that never happened. Tell me why someone would randomly bite your finger unless you've done something. Not you with the history of laying your hands on someone, saying someone would randomly bite you without you doing anything. But nonetheless, this was his whole angle in court. He said that Shongile randomly bit his finger, and this is then how he responded. He said he grabbed her by the throat, pushed her on top of the bed, and didn't let go of her until she stopped moving completely. And as if that's not enough, as if he had not done enough, he then went on to add insult to injury. He took her stethoscope and put it on her and used it to check if she was still breathing. And when he realized that she was no more, he left and closed the door behind him. And unfortunately, this would mark the end of Dr. Pretty Shongi Ngwashi's life. 7 years of studying towards a medical degree and only working 15 days before her life was tragically taken. Hours and hours and then a day went by and no one had discovered her body yet. Her father had tried to contact her many times during the course of Saturday but could not get a hold of her. As a result, he decided to drive down from Guyana all the way down to where she was working in Polokwane just to check up on her. He got to the gates and tried to WhatsApp her, tried to call her, but still she was not answering. So he diffused it down to perhaps she is working a double call, perhaps she's in hospital somewhere, working really hard, so he decided to go back home. The following day, on Sunday, he was due to go to Port Elizabeth on a business trip, so off to PE he went. No one had spoken to Shongi since Friday. It was now Sunday. And at the hospital, because she was new, she didn't really have people who were going to knock at her door randomly. She had only been there for 2 weeks. So if you know anything about Limpopo province in South Africa, is that the temperatures get pretty high, especially in January. It is said that January is the hottest month, with temperatures averaging around 32 degrees all the way up. So it's due to this reason that her body started decomposing pretty quickly. The doctor's quarters are pretty close to one another, so by Sunday afternoon, there was definitely a smell around the quarters. That is when it was decided that someone must investigate, and sadly, upon investigation, the body of Dr. Shongi was discovered and everyone was shocked and devastated. The police were called in and they arrived and they started investigating the case. And by the time the family was notified, it was already 11 p.m. that evening. Police called Dr. Shongi's father, Kenneth, who was in Port Elizabeth in business, and broke down the terrible news to him. He would later say that he didn't cry when he was in Port Elizabeth. He didn't cry on the drive back from Port Elizabeth, but the moment he got home and he saw his wife, he cried and he cried. He carried so much guilt within him, and this is what he said at the memorial service just a few days after Shongile had passed away.
I'm so sorry, my daughter, that I couldn't be there for you when the monster attacked you. I know that you shouted my name, you wanted me to help. I'm very sorry, my daughter. I think I have failed you. But I will try to forgive myself, because I had no intention of forsaking you under the circumstances that you went through.
Dr. Shongile was laid to rest in her home village of Mayepo in Guyana. The MSc of Health in Limpopo was in attendance, and she just reiterated the level of loss that everyone was feeling. Not just her family, not just the village, but the country at large.
Make sure that there is justice for Shongi. Now we are asking the people of South Africa, we are saying join us in this particular campaign to make sure that the people of Mayepo village, who had a jewel, who had the only doctor in that particular village, they had somebody that they can show their daughters and their sons to look up to say it's possible. Even if you grow up in this particular dusty streets, even if you have gone to school barefooted, you can make it in life. You can become a doctor. And this doctor's life was just taken away by someone who is useless in life, somebody who is not even adding any value to some of us.
Luckily, the boyfriend confessed, so at least the family was spared from a long, tedious trial. The trial only lasted 2 days, and within that 2 days, the first day was used for his confession, where he had penned down everything that went down. Now, although it was a bit sketchy, but for the most part, he had confessed everything that had happened. He had even went on to say that the reason that he did it was because he felt that the father was interfering in their relationship, and therefore he decided to take her life. He also went on to express that he had full control over Shongi's life for the longest time, and he felt like he was losing that control. After that, he was then sentenced and he was given life imprisonment. So he's currently serving that sentence now in Limpopo. And with that said, we have come to the end of today's video. Please let me know what you think about this particular case, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Stay safe out there. Bye.
One of the issues that I hear a lot of men, they're like, not all men, they want to say, not all men are like this. And we are very much aware. I hate that rebuttal when men say, like, not all men. We know that is not all men. But you know what women are talking about, because the same language would be the language you would use on your daughter. A lot of men, when they say not all men, but when they advise their daughters about boys, about men, they say all men. My biggest question as I try to make sense of everything, I'm having realizations that this is connected to the objectification of women, because when you hear these stories, you realize that a lot of these men feel like these women are their properties. The men who murder their girlfriends, the men who murder women, they feel that they own the women. And this level of entitlement, you are entitled to her to a point that you're even entitled to her life. You feel that nobody else should have her because in your mind, she's your property. And the extreme end of this objectification of women is when you are seeing women as objects to a point that you can murder a woman because you don't see her as a person. You don't see a human being. You see something that exists for your consumption. You see something that exists and you are entitled to take something from it. In the less extreme end, whenever I hear conversations online, even in person, whenever I listen to conversations about the perceptions some men have about women and how they talk about women, you ask yourself, do you like women or do you like women's bodies? Because there's a difference. Are you just physically attracted to women, but you don't like women as fully realized human beings with talents, with interest, with depth, with things? Because whenever I hear conversations talking about what even men want from women, it is things that are vapid, it is things that are external. We talk about beauty being a currency, youth and beauty. For the longest time, yes, I understand that you have preferences, you want youth and beauty. You realize that even with this thing of wanting youth and beauty, fair, cool, but you see how men talk about older women. It's like, you are useless now. They talk about older women as if they're useless because now you are this object that we cannot use anymore. We cannot use your womb. You are useless now. That's how it is. They won't say it explicitly, but they will say, oh, we just want young women. But because do you see your partner, your wife, your girlfriend as a person? Do you love this woman deeper than the surface level, deeper than the fact that she can bear you kids, the fact that she is youthful and beautiful? Because those things won't be there 50 years from now, 60 years from now. But whenever I hear conversations about men talking about women, they talk about women as if it's an object that you can trade in for a newer model. Oh, she's old, I can just get a new one. They value things that are external. There's a value towards virginity. There's a value towards youth. Her value is her ability to give you children, not who she is as a person, but her womb. Because a lot of men I know are aware that they need women, but it's the fact that, are you in love with her or do you see her as a tool to continue your bloodline? Even when you see these gender reveals, whenever I see how men react to finding out that they are going to have a daughter, I'm just like, It's your baby. You should be happy. But even when they have daughters or they get an announcement of a daughter, the reaction is always negative. And this tells me that there needs to be a reconstruction. There needs to be men need to evolve. And I'm not talking about you, the good ones, because I know people are going to think I'm attacking all men. But there needs to be a restructuring. There needs to be a new understanding of masculinity, because the current one is obviously not working. As women have become independent, as women have been able to just exercise their autonomy, we see more of these situations. There is no excuse. No excuse. I don't care if your mental health is screwed, your mental health is in the gutter. There is no excuse that justifies taking someone's life just because they don't love you anymore. In these situations, you are not entitled to a woman's life. You are not entitled. You are not, I don't even want to hear, because I hear stories where people say, no, he took her to school, he took her to varsity, he paid for her fees. That doesn't entitle you to killing her. You need to detach from people. You do not own people. You do not own people. Yes, it hurts. Everyone gets hurt. Everyone gets cheated on, but you are not entitled to take someone's life because you've been cheated on. Women go through cheating. Men cheat on women all the time. And I hate when guys take these situations, when men take these situations of femicide and use it as an opportunity to be like, well, women murder men too. You know that, yes, some women murder men too, but you know that it's not as high as the numbers of women being murdered by men. You, as a man, know you are not scared of women. You are more scared of another man. I hate when they do this rebuttal thing because it's a deflection. You want to deflect from the main topic, and that is that men exist in the world who are extremely dangerous and extremely problematic. You want to not be made accountable for the fact that men who look like you exist and are dangerous. Because whenever I hear male victims, men are also victims of abuse, men are also victims of violence. But I don't see any effort to create spaces for these men. From men, it's like they see a post about a woman being murdered, femicide. But men also go through this. Why don't you make the spaces, the platforms that advocate for men's stories as well? Because you do not care. You care about using it as a rebuttal, it as a distraction, it as a point. There are cases of men being killed by women, but we know that the issue, the highest death for women is femicide. Men are usually killed by true crime and other men. And if you actually cared, because one thing it makes me think about whenever people talk about men's relationship lacking depth, men not remembering their friends' birthdays, men not remembering any details about their children, not remembering birthdays. It's like they want women to create these spaces for them. Women have created these spaces, women have created these platforms to discuss this issue, to advocate for themselves, to share the stories of femicide. But men are not doing it because you do not care about the fact that men are dying. You care about shutting down women who are exposing these stories, women who are trying to advocate for themselves, create platforms for themselves. I don't see men being activists for themselves as much as women are. So I don't even want to entertain that conversation because it's unnecessary. If you want to advocate for men's issues, advocate for your men's issues, create the spaces, but don't use women's death as an opportunity to be like, us too. Like, the thing about going and trying to read these stories, you end up seeing also people's thought processes, and that there are a lot of men who feel it is justified to kill a woman if she cheats on you, if she does something. There are a lot. Go through the comment sections of these stories. You will see these men pop up who have that same mentally dwarfed, mentally low type of mindset, animalistic mindset. They exist. All I see is deflection whenever this conversation. There are men who are very much aware and awakened to the realities of that South Africa is dangerous for women. There are men who are aware, but there's also men who just want to deflect, no accountability, no shifting of what masculinity is obviously operating in a certain way that is destructive currently. All they know is to say, also men, oh, it's foreigners. No, it's not foreigners. Yes, foreigners commit crime, but the men who are shared in these stories are South African men, not foreigners. There might be a foreigner here and there, but you want to deflect from the actual issue. And that already tells me you are not mentally ready to grow up to the reality that there is something problematic mentally with a lot of men. There is something mentally broken with a lot of men. And I didn't want to even center men in this conversation, but they are the ones killing the women. And I don't know. I just feel powerless because it's like, what is the solution? How do we move forward? And all I can think of now in my frustration, I'm thinking that women are going to have to do self-preservation. And I know that's probably not even going to stop anything, but women are going to have to go on dates. If you go on a date, make sure it's in public, carry a weapon, carry, I don't know, pepper spray, carry something to protect yourself, because what else? What is the solution? Because we're crying about these issues, constantly recording these issues, and they're not stopping. There's going to be another story in a few weeks from now. I don't know. What do you guys think? What do you guys think? How can we move forward to solve a lot of these evils, a lot of these stories, this femicide? What do we do? I'm literally like, I couldn't even find ways to try and unpack and understand, because it's just, for me, it's like, it's inhumane. You're not a human being. If you're capable of doing this, you're not a human being. You're evil. You are the hell that is on earth. If you have a solution or a way forward, let me know in the comment section.